So chapter 1 is all about introducing ideas that we're going to use all year. So we're going to switch gears from talking about angles to talking about polygons. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to name them, which we've been talking about how to name a bunch of things: segments, lines, planes, points, whole bunch of stuff. So let's start out by just getting the definition of a polygon. It is a closed, let's write what that means. That means no gaps. Plane, we've talked about planes already. Plane just means it's a flat surface or it's two-dimensional. Figure with at least 3 sides. Okay. There can't be any curves on a polygon, so a circle is not considered a polygon. It has to have straight edges. Okay. When we name a polygon, we just have to pick a letter and then name in a circular fashion. So you can't jump back and forth, left and right. And you can go clockwise or counterclockwise. Not picky about that. So if you pick L, for instance, to start with, you could say L, W, N, M, Y, T. That would be a possible name, just going around in a circle. Okay, you can go counterclockwise or clockwise, like I said. Just name around in a circle. Okay, there are many options. That's those dots are going to signify. 2 more vocab words that we're not going to get a definition for, but just a picture. Concave versus convex. What's an easy way to remember these? The difference. Which one goes in? So what's an easy way to link that? Looks like a cave, sure. Or it's caved in. Someone punched it. Okay. Questions on that? I'm going to ask you to state whether figures are convex or concave on the test. All right, let's review these. Okay, the ones on your notes are not interactive, so you can't click on them and they won't disappear with the name. So you're going to have to write on those gray squares there. But what I want you to do, I'm going to give you a few seconds to write down as many as you remember. Okay, they aren't fancy words. They're literally just what is the name of that figure with that number of sides. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to remind yourself back to elementary school when you learned all of these. Some of them aren't used very often, so they'll be more difficult to recall, but write down all the ones you remember.
For 8, can I just write stop sign? Stop sign.
All right, in any order, I want you to start by raising your hand, not shouting them out. Give me one of them in any order. Yes.
Square.
No, but good guess. Square is not up there. Yes. Rectangle is not up there either. You don't have to do 4 if you don't want to. You can pick a different one. Yes.
Hexagon.
Which one is hexagon?
6.
Yes.
I got the next one.
Okay. Yes, another one.
Octagon, aka stop sign.
Which is
8.
octagon is there. Yes. Which one? 5 is pentagon. Make sure you've got all these. I'm going to make sure that you know them on the test by asking you to write them down. Any others? Yep. Nonagon is up there, but it's not that one. Yes? There is a decagon up there. Which one is it? There's decagon. Yes? 4 polygon, another good guess. For some reason, 4 is always a hard one. Every single year I've taught this, it's a hard one to remember. Really, really close. Not quadrangle, yes. Quadrilateral is the official name of a 4-sided figure. The 3 up here are pretty typical, the last 3 to be named, because they're not used very often. Yes?
Is the nonagon the N?
Yes. Nope. Yes? Nonagon is 9, yes. It's decagon with D-O in front of it, dodecagon. 6 years ago, one of my students saw that word and said, "What's a dodecagon?" It is not dodecagon. It's a dodecagon. 7. Any guesses? Kind of. You write n-gon. Here's what I mean by that. If you had 17 sides, the people naming shapes got lazy and decided to put GON after the number. So if you have a 20-sided figure, it's called a 20-gon. 100 sides, 100-gon. Okay? Even 11, which officially has 2 names that we found on Google last year, but it is so rarely called by those names, they call an 11-sided figure an 11-gon. So that's what we're going to use here too. So the only ones with official names are the ones up here. We still have one left to write up there yet. But just know that anything other than 3 through 10 and then 12 doesn't have an official name. Okay, you just put GON after that number. This one starts with an H as a hint. Really close. Hexagon. Okay, so you are going to need to know these names. Make sure they're written or typed somewhere on your notes there, because you're going to want to reference them when you're doing the homework. I'll wait till everyone's got those written down. On the test, what I'm going to do is give you a shape and ask you to name it. Ask you to tell me whether it's convex or concave. And then also one other thing, which we're going to talk about on this next slide. So every shape is going to have 3 classifications. We've learned 2 of them so far. The name, and then convex, concave, and then the one last one. Anyone still need this slide? All right, here's the last classification. It has to do with the sides and the angles. Equilateral, which just means all the sides are congruent. Equiangular, which means all the angles are congruent. And regular, which means it's both congruent sides and congruent angles. So let's take a look at these objects here that you have in front of you on your notes. And we're going to get 3 classifications on each picture. What I want you to do to see if you can remember that chart we just filled in is to not look at the chart and write the name of each of these shapes based on how many sides they have. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to go through and do that. Try not looking at the chart. Give yourself a little self-quiz here. Now that we've gone through all of them, try to name all 6 shapes. Hopefully you got all of these correct. Notice I'm abbreviating quadrilateral because it's kind of a long word. Another silly story, don't let this be you because it happens almost every year. Don't call this a triagon. Kids get into the momentum of doing hexagon, pentagon, octagon, and then they get to the triangle and they write triagon. Please don't do that. Don't let that be you. Okay? All right. Next on each one, we need to state whether it's convex or concave. This one should be pretty simple, right? Right in front of you, I want you to put up how many fingers of how many concave images are up there. I'm seeing 2 from everybody. That's good. Which ones are they? Yes. Concave. Concave. Okay, the rest you should have convex. So on the test, you're going to have these shapes and then 3 lines underneath each one because you'll need to fill in each line with a classification. So we've done 2 of the 3 so far. Okay, on this picture, I need you to add something that I forgot to put in the notes, the squares in the corners. So please do that as we do the last classification. The last classification has to do with what is listed at the top of this page. We're going to write equilateral, equiangular, regular, or we could say none if it doesn't fit into any of those categories. Remember, equilateral is all equal sides, equiangular, equal angles, regular is that it's both. So looking at these, keep those up there as options. That first one, what would you classify it as? Yes. Yes, it is equilateral. And I noticed I got a typo here. Why can't we say that one is regular? I was hoping someone's going to say regular because we can learn a lot from our mistakes. Why is this one not regular? Yeah. Yep, all the sides are equal. What would be necessary in order for it to be regular? What's missing if we wanted to say that was regular? Yep. Not squares, but the arcs and the angles, right? Saying that the angles were all the same too. Regular, remember, means equal sides and equal angles. Okay, what about this one? Does it have equal sides? No. Does it have equal angles? No. So none. This one. This one is also equilateral. Okay, rely on the picture. The picture is going to have marks on it telling you what is congruent and what isn't. This one. None? This one? This one? Yes. Regular. Now, regular is also one of the words that we have written on our whiteboard that's here all year long. Okay, it's the last one on the list. One of the words we're going to see all year, and you're going to need to remember that regular means all equal sides and all equal angles. Now, just like we've done so far in Chapter 1, they're going to link this to algebra, and here is how. In the directions, they may tell you that a polygon is regular. They're not going to have any marks on the picture. They're going to assume that you know what regular means. Regular means all sides are equal and all angles are equal. So let's put that on the picture because they told us that this is a regular polygon. So we know that all of those things are true. All 5 sides are equal, all 5 angles are equal. Well, that allows us to write some algebra equations, only one on this case. Okay, because we have 2 sides, a side here and a side here. Because they said it was regular, what can we do when we write the equation? Yes. Yeah, put an equal sign between them. So we've got 11x minus 9 equals 4x plus 12. So again, this is the geometry, the image, the picture of this pentagon. We transfer it over to algebra because we know the geometry tells us that regular pentagons have equal sides. So we'll move the 4x. We'll move the 9. And divide. Now all they asked us to do is find x, so we are done. We don't have to substitute that back in. Questions?